Today's video, we're going to talk about how accurate is Google Keyword Planner. Specifically, what you can do with it, what you can use with it to make more money with your advertising campaigns, or just to make money in general if you're stuck with an unprofitable account and or just want to know how to plan your advertising better. The data that the Google Keyword Planner has is barely accurate, but there is some useful data there that you can use, and I'm going to explain exactly which part of the data that they have can be counted on, which can't, which can be just used as a signal, which is the majority of it. And with that, though, more importantly, I will put in context what you can do with this tool Google has. It provides us advertisers to actually make more money in your company, running Google ads for your business. Or if you're trying to plan a business or a new niche or a new campaign, to know how much of the data can be used to accurately plan that next niche campaign business that you're planning on using the data for. With that, by the end of the video, I will also give you some real examples of actual markets where we use the Google Keyword Planner to identify is that a market that we can actually tackle versus not, and actually used it to identify what a new market that we should actually enter. So I'll talk about how and give you some of those anecdotes / stories as well if you watch the entire video. So with that said, the information I'm providing to you here is brought to you by a owner of a PPC agency. The name of the agency that I own is Guaranteed PPC. We, literally speaking, provide guaranteed results for our clients. That is, if we cannot bring a client profitability on their campaign up front or more profit to offset cost of our management fees, we do not charge a management fee at all. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. No, there isn't a catch other than we got to know we can actually get results for a client before we agree to take you on. But that's what you want to know anyway going into a campaign, which is it realistic to actually do something with it that can be productive and get the truth right up front. So the information I'm giving you here, though, is based upon 10 years of running this advertising agency and understanding, using the data to run a campaign, how much of the data was reliable given I got to see the before and after, that is looking at the data, setting up a campaign, seeming like something that looked like a good idea, and whether or not that data actually turned out to be true. Getting into the content here, Google has greatly generalized the keyword and keyword volume data that they're providing you inside the Keyword Planner tool, if you will. And the reason why it appears, my opinion, I don't have any documented proof here, that they do this is because they don't want you targeting single keywords anymore. I personally still set up single keyword ad groups, and they're actually, I think, thanks to this channel making a comeback, not to where people aren't just singing the praises of broad match keywords and letting the algorithm with smart bidding find you your results, which it will do, but after pissing away a ton of your money first. Google wants you to use broad match keywords, and they push that because it makes them more money. It's going to provide a bunch of waste and getting your ad in front of people that normally advertisers don't want to get in front of those people because it's not profitable, and they sell the inventory that nobody wants through adding it into the inventory that you do want. They take the gold bar and they wrap it, and they take the cat shit and they wrap it together and they sell it to you as one package, kind of like a mortgage. The Big Short on the movie. They had talked about how mortgage securities, how all that works. They take the good mortgages, wrap them up with the bad, and then sell the investment, whereas you're getting both. And they can sell the bad because they mix it in with the good, and it's still going to provide some return. Google's done that with their system. It doesn't work. Nobody wants. They wrap it in with the good so that they can sell it. Otherwise, standalone campaigns that targeted the stuff that doesn't work, nobody would want because it would be clear there's no return there. They could just take the total return down by wrapping the stuff that that doesn't sell with the stuff that does in order to sell it. So with that said, they don't want you targeting single keywords like best, or should I say like 3 horsepower pottery wheels for sale. They don't want you targeting that keyword. They want you to target pottery wheels in broad match so that they can sell you the cheap pottery wheels traffic on that keyword that basically nobody wants because it provides people that want cheap and that can't afford an actual pottery wheel to start with, and that at least converts at such a low rate nobody wants it, they can't sell that traffic. So that's why I think the keyword data and the volume data in the account is not very good. That is, the keyword data itself is very generalized. I've been around long enough to see the Google Keyword Planner tool do well. That is, they gave you hundreds of legit keyword ideas, and the keyword volume data for each one of those keywords was actually decently accurate, to the point where we used to, about 12 years ago, when I worked at another agency before starting up Guaranteed PPC, used to be able to export all the keyword data from the tool into a spreadsheet and then estimate how many leads we could get that client based upon adding up all the volume of all the keywords we would be targeting. Then, assuming that we're going to have a 10% click-through rate and this much conversion rate, and then we're going to have this many leads. On the high end, this is what we can expect to get. Nowadays, you can forget completely about doing that, because not only is there less keywords there, because they want you to just target a few keywords in broad match and not get the idea that you should be targeting 300 different keywords individually, like we still do and do through workaround means of finding out what those 300 are. But also, they don't want you to know what the volume is of all these keywords, because again, it allows you to plan campaigns or run campaigns that target these individual terms. And if they muddy what a certain keyword will do, people will just say, well, I'll just run the general keywords in broad match and forget it all because I can't plan this out anyway. With all that said, what you're going to get is just a few keywords of the total keywords that you could target if you just knew what they were. But the volume is so generalized. It's going to say 10 searches when really it could be anywhere from 100 searches a month to 1 search a month. It's literally that bad now. I've had campaigns where I've ran a campaign in the drug rehab space where it said that we would be able to get hundreds of searches a month targeting Women's Drug Treatment Center. This is a direct example, like I said I was going to give you in this video. And as a result of that, we should have been able to get a few dozen clicks a month in our local geographic market where we're at. We literally ran the campaign and we're getting like 1 click a month. So it's literally off by a factor of 10 or more. And it's really irritating because how the hell does Google get it that wrong other than legit trying to make things screwed up? So on one hand, they want you to not know how many searches a long tail keyword gets so that you just don't target it individually. That's one thing. On the other hand, they want stuff that, like if you have a women's drug treatment center, they want you to know that something has a lot of volume. So you jump into the market because like if you only serve women and you search those keywords and you see no searches, then maybe you just won't advertise on Google to begin with at all. And they don't want that either. So they'll overestimate the volume on certain terms to get you to have false confidence that you could get customers for a niche business like that to begin with. So it goes both ways actually. And to know obviously if it's overstating or understating, you don't really know until you jump in. Which is why I titled this video, you should use the Google Keyword tool as a signal only. Mainly I will say it's good at, just like with the conversion tracking that Google Ads has, that is, Google Ads conversion tracking is always going to undercount conversions because of limitations with conversion tracking and cookies and devices that don't accept cookies. And there's many different reasons why conversions that show up in your Google Ads account will always be lower than the actual amount of conversions a campaign got. With all that said, just like the conversion data is always going to be understated, and you can assume that if it says you got 2, you really got 4. And so the conversion tracking data that Google does provide you in your account, even though you have the best tracking setup possible, you're going to use the conversion data as a signal as to how much you're making, not how much you actually make, because it's always going to understate how many conversions you're getting because of the inherent limitations with the system. Because the volume data is always going to be off. You can't expect what it says to be what you actually get. You can use it for is to compare one keyword versus another, because it's and to know on a generalized basis, is there likely to be a business there or business you can do or make for a certain keyword versus another. To give you an example of that, just recently, we're helping a speaker out. Basically, this particular speaker does a lot of different business speaking. Within that, we were just testing the different types of niche speaking. And to go after it, and to even know if we should create a custom landing page for that speaking type, given that some, speaker for small business. Is that sub niche of speaker actually worth going after or not? Well, like I said, if you look at it in itself, it may look good or not so good. Where the data really does help you a lot is when you compare that to another niche to kind of see which niches, sub-niches, if you will, are worth going after first and has the most volume as a whole. Even though, like what I said earlier about how it could be over or underestimating, it's still, for me, the biggest use of that is to give you a general idea of what stuff inside a business is worth going after first or second, because it will give you a general frame of reference of what's most searched, second most searched, third most searched, and then planning all of our campaigns, trying to go after the stuff that's searched most, practically speaking, in terms of it, if we have to make unique landing pages for each niche, to do the ones that have the most volume first, or at least are in the top half, so we know when we set up the landing page and all the expense that goes around that we're going to end up having something, we're going to get a payback on our investment, if you will, a return on our investment of time and effort setting up that landing page. But with that said, for instance, we'll go ahead and we'll search HVAC speaker. We'll go ahead and search for sales speaker and these different sub verticals that a client can basically speak under the general umbrella business speaking, if you will. Which sub niche are worth going after and creating a unique landing page for, and which are not. So that's a use case of how more so I would recommend you use the keyword volume data for, and planning out a campaign and which campaigns you should do first and second, first, or third, and so forth. When you're using the keyword tool for research to use it, to come up with your keyword list to target, as I mentioned before, because Google doesn't want you to target individual terms, and they want you to, like an exact match, and like we're going to do at our firm, to really laser in on what's actually producing the business so we can get rid of all the waste. And then they want you to use broad match keywords so you get the inventory that they can't sell to anybody else. With that said, if you wanted and need to know the 500 different ways that somebody searches for accounting services, you can easily do that using a technique that I pioneered and figured out how to do, given that still to this day, the Google Keyword Planner tool is the best tool for keyword research to find out what keywords are actually getting searched so that you know what to target to begin with and find those 500 different ways to search for what it is you do. We're going to find, if you'll type in like accounting services into the Google Keyword Planner, and it'll come out with a bunch of, maybe 10 or 20 or 30 different variants of keywords. Accounting firms, accounting agencies, stuff like that. And then what we'll do to find not just the 30 terms that it's kicking out, but the 500 different words that we ultimately want, so we can target each keyword individually with exact match to weed out all the junk traffic. But on top of that, so we can target each variant of search with a laser targeted ad where the keyword is in the headline of the ad, and we can hand pick as a result of that which landing page to send them to, so that the landing page headline can have the keyword in it as well, because that's going to be what's going to get the traffic to convert into a lead at the highest rate, and therefore the highest ROI we could possibly get. You're going to take the data that the keyword tool gives you, and then you're going to mix and match the data. So you'll find, accounting service, then there'll be accountancy firm, and then you'll take service and add it at the end of the word accountancy, and you'll take firm and add it to the word accountant, if you will. So the suffixes and prefixes of the words that it shows there, you're going to take those and put them on the end of the other words that don't have it, if you will, and you can start with 30 keywords and easily make it 300 playing that mix and match game. And then with that, what I'll do to know, because here's the other thing, the Google Keyword Planner will say something's got 10 searches a month. You literally put that same exact keyword into a campaign, and then it'll say, search volume too low, you can't bid on it, which is beyond frustrating and aggravating why Google's system is that far off. So, and it's bad enough, literally, to the point where, and it goes both ways, something that says that has 0 searches will have a decent amount of searches and you can bid on it, and something that says it does have searches, you can't bid on it, and it'll say low volume, you can't bid on this under the keyword status when you upload it to your campaign or account. We'll just simply take all those keywords we found, the 500 after playing that mix and match game, dump them into a test campaign that we're not going to actually advertise, but we're just going to turn it on for 5 minutes to see which keywords show search volume too low and which ones don't. And then for the ones that don't say search volume too low, those are the ones that we're going to now write custom ads for, come up with custom landing pages for, so we can have the most efficient way of running an ad campaign in that space. That's the process that we're going to follow every single time when we are going to create campaigns in a market that we haven't been in before. So it's, again, the keyword data itself is a signal. It's going to give you some basic ideas. And then if you want even more ideas, you're going to go use your SpyFu, your SEMrush, see what the competitors are using, but taking that with a major grain of salt, because more than half of people who are advertising on Google ads are not making any money. They just don't realize they're not making money because they don't have tracking set up or whatnot, or they just, that plus, they think they're being smart and savvy by hiring it. They run their ads, or they don't have to hire somebody because they have an internal manager who does it that doesn't know anything about Google ads, and they think they're saving money and being smart about it when they're reading about it. They just don't understand that in a competitive market, when the other guy's got an expert working on it, a true expert, and they don't, they're not going to win. Or at least they're going to greatly overpay for a customer or not get nearly as many as they could otherwise. So anyway, with that said, you can actually go ahead and look at the keywords that they're showing up for as a signal, because a lot of them aren't profitable to show up for, but it'll give you some nice seed ideas that you can then take back to Google Keyword Tool and use it to populate more ideas. Because literally speaking, when it pumps out some ideas and then you add you play the mix and match game, I forgot to mention this earlier, and then you put those added keywords back into the tool, it'll spit out even more ideas. Then you take those, play mix and match, come up with a bigger list, put it back into the Google Keyword Planner, it'll come out with even more ideas, and you just keep doing that until you've exhausted all the ideas that the planner will provide you. You take the data from SEMrush and Google or SpyFu, depending on what you use, putting that into Google Keyword Planner, and then it'll spit out even more ideas for you. Then you can then mix and match those, put them back in. You see how you ultimately can use Google Keyword Planner, especially with outside data, to get the system working a little bit better, how you can end up with 1,000 keywords in a niche market that you can then create laser targeted ads for and get 10+% click-through rates, whereas the average player in the market's going to get 3-4%, and you make way more money than anybody else. So anyway, the stuff that your competitor shows up, maybe it's profitable, maybe it's not. I get a lot of clients who think, have you looked at the competitor, what they're doing? And my answer always is the same. They aren't probably making money, and what they're targeting there is too generic, and I'm telling you it won't make money. And they'll a lot of times still want us to try, and then we piss a bunch of money away just for them to understand that just because they're doing it does not mean you should be doing it as well. It has to make logical sense. And this is where having an experienced ad person that's actually running dozens of different ad accounts at any given time, and it has run literally hundreds upon hundreds of campaigns on Google Ads to tell you this stuff before you even have to try it. Because for all practical purposes, somebody who's truly knowledgeable can tell you with about 80% certainty on anything that you think that you should try, whether it'll work or not, before you spend a penny on it. That's the benefit of the person that you're paying what you think shouldn't be $200 an hour, where the value is. So instead of pissing away $5,000 on something that doesn't work, you could have just asked the person you pay $500 to, and you saved all that money, if you will, to get the information you needed before you even tried it. Which, by the way, with our agency, we don't charge clients unless you make money already on your ad spend. So there's no reason not to take our advice, because we're going to tell you, you don't have to pay us unless the advice we give you actually makes money. And obviously, we wouldn't offer that if we could not get results. We're not in this business to work for free, I promise. So if you're interested in the right advice that you can rely on, because everybody else who doesn't guarantee anything is going to tell you what you want to hear to get your money, you can reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com and give you a assessment, let you know how much money we can make, and then basically how that would be done logistically. That, and if we worked in your niche market, by the way, before, we can sell you the ad templates, the landing page templates, the campaign templates that work for your niche market. We've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last 10 years. And if we worked in your niche market in a different geographic area than you're in, why not use everything that works for your market already, of which what we can tell you it'll do before you even use it. That is cost per lead, ROI wise, and so forth, you're going to bypass all the work we had to do to figure out how to run the perfect ad in your market and get it right away for a one-time fee, which you can then manage your own ad campaigns, but you'll just inherit all the learnings that we have had, many times spending literally millions of dollars in that niche market before to figure out that perfectly efficient, optimized way of running a campaign in your niche market. So going back to the content here. So as I mentioned before, the keyword tool is a great way to compare one niche market to another, particularly a sub niche. That is, like, if you're the accountant, seeing is it worth going after as a whole people that are interested in tax audit services versus bookkeeping services, and what's the, is it a niche that's bigger than bookkeeping? Knowing, that given that we already know bookkeeping is a pretty big sub niche, so it gives you some general ways to plan. The CPC bids on the Google Keyword Planner are generally accurate as well. That's the one thing that you can rely on the most, or like directly or whatnot. When it says, because it obviously has the estimated bid of what it's going to cost to show up at the top of Google for that keyword, and they have the high range and the low range. The high range, by the way, is going to be what you're going to start out with, and you're going to stay at if you're a piss poor advertiser, i.e. low click-through rates compared to your competition, low conversion rates compared to your competition. That said, if you listen to the stuff that I tell you about on this channel, where I give you the exact model of what to use to beat and crush all your competitors to a fine dust, if you just follow them, it's all for free. If you do all that, you get better click-through rates and better conversion rates than your competition. You'll be at that low end of the range. Not right away. You're still going to have to advertise and get a few hundred clicks at least on each keyword for Google's algorithm to realize it and give you the reward for that. But you should be able to be paying the low end of the range 6, 12, 18, 24, 36 months down the line when you've got a few tens of thousands of clicks through your account, and the system knows inside and out how your account performs, and that the ads are better than your competition, the landing pages are better than the competition, and give you that reward. It's all worth it, very much so, to set up the ads the right way, like I talk about on this channel, so that you end up getting the low end of the range, because the low end of the range is 5 times less than the high end of the range. You literally can have 5 times the ROI just by setting things up right from the beginning, not wait, because what the typical person will do is they'll say, oh, I'll spend time on my campaigns once things are already working, or that I know that it'll work. First of all, you should damn well know Google Ads will work, because nobody would be advertising on Google Ads at all if it didn't provide at least some reasonable value, and at least not in your niche, but in many other niches. So you should know it just automatically works. And I'm going to tell you it works, but it'll only work if you're able to do it better than your competition, given that Google wants to send most of the business to somebody. With 5 to 10 people cycling in and out of the top 4 ad spots on Google, and with everybody basically using smart bidding, and everybody wanting that customer, and Google knowing who's going to be likely to be a customer who's searching, and they have to send it to somebody. Who do you think they're going to send that user to? To the person they want to encourage to stick around. And that person's the person who's providing the best experience to their users, best ad click-through rate, in other words, best landing page conversion rate or site conversion. So they want to encourage the people that are doing their users the best service the most, to encourage them to stick around. Ultimately, you set things up right. It may not work right away because you're assumed to be like the other 90% of douchebags, if you will, that come spending 15 minutes on their ads and then think that's good enough to have a multi-million-dollar a year winning account. And then they are there for 3 months and then they give up because they never get their cost per click to come down. You are just going to, yes, you're paying the price at the beginning to acquire the data and for the algorithm to see what you have is good. Then the massive return comes in right after that. And then it's just a waiting game. Yes, I'm willing to run the ads at a loss for 3 months because after that, cost per click comes down. I'm going to start getting my ROI, and I'm going to start making more and more and more over time. The more data that I've acquired in the account, more the cost per click comes down. The better the higher the percentage of the good quality leads that Google knows that's likely to turn into a customer comes through that I get, if you will, given that they literally do favor the person who does a good job for their users with and reward them with not only a cheaper cost per click, but the higher, more likely to convert lead. Because on a keyword, you bid on a keyword, there's a certain percentage of that keyword traffic that's likely to convert. that they know is likely to convert based upon their demographics, psychographic traits, what they've searched for in the past, and so forth. So they literally can say with their models, there's a 78% chance of this particular searcher becoming a customer. Who should we give it to? Oh, well, obviously we want to give it to our leading guy whose ads and landing pages help the user the best and the people like the most. We're just going to send it to him because we want him to stick around. We want our ad space for this keyword to be as good as possible. We don't want this guy that helps our users the most go anywhere. And the guy actually, pisses on our customers the most by barely trying and says, I don't want to invest in no good ad. I don't need an ad expert. They want them to just go away, go somewhere else. And they don't physically kick you out. They just make it so unprofitable that you go somewhere else. So you don't want to be on this bad side of Google because there's no money there to be made legitimately. And I'm not just here basically to blow Google here. This is information. Google can either work for you or against you. You can decide how it goes, but it's not an even playing field at the end of the day. They give everybody a chance to win, but if you're not going to show them that you have something valuable to provide when there's already 10 people who want the ad spots in your space for your keywords, you come with something useful that they don't have, or they don't really give a crap whether you stay or go. Because in their mind, they continue to want to send the traffic to the guy who spent the time to set up a good experience for the user, and that's always going to continue to be the case. Cost per click data is going to be accurate. You can damn well count that if you set up the ads right, you'll be at the low end of the range there. Otherwise, you're going to stay at the high end of the range, and that's how it is. So ultimately, if you want to be on the low end of the range, you want to learn the techniques to do it. I talked about briefly on this particular video how to do that. But you want to subscribe to this channel so you understand how to get the click-through rate and the conversion rate higher than your competitors every time. And I do mean every time. You follow the instructions that I talk about in terms of how we structure our campaigns to get our clients our guaranteed results. And you're going to get them as well. And so you should definitely pay attention to the information on this channel because you're going to get it here. And the information on this channel is better than any other information you're going to find online about running ads successfully online because it's coming from somebody who actually walks the walk, talks the talk, spends 40 hours a week just doing ad testing and strategy at our advertising firm on dozens and dozens of ad accounts to constantly stay abreast of what's actually working, what actually delivers results. And so therefore, if you're going to pay attention to anybody, you want to pay attention to me and what's on this channel. So you should subscribe already if you haven't. Furthermore, you also want to read the blog that I have on guaranteedppc.com/blog. You can find my actual go-to strategies that we're using today to guarantee results for our clients that are literally copy and pastable into your ad account that you can use for yourself. The strategies that are listed on my blog not only have step-by-step instructions, but with screenshots and everything else you would need to get those results for yourself. If you like the channel, you're going to like the blog as well. So anyway, with that said, okay, how accurate is the Google Keyword Planner? Fairly accurate depending on how you look at it, with the bidding estimates being the most accurate, the keyword data being somewhat accurate, but intentionally filtered so that you don't get the idea of going too specific with your keywords, if you will, and the keyword volume data being very inaccurate, but can still provide a general overall signal as to compare one general category of keyword over another and what seems to be a bigger niche overall to target versus another one. And if you go to use this, the Google Keyword Tool with that, or Google Keyword Planner with that basic advice in mind, you'll have success with it. If you don't, you're going to be sorely disappointed, as per what I've found using this tool over the last 10 years of running Guarantee PPC and our PPC agency. So, do you have any questions about like anything I covered here? You can easily ask me a question in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. If you do everything I'm talking about here, getting the kind of return that most people want, 5-to-1 return in terms of ROI, 10-to-1 return on ROI, you can get it. You just have to be better than your competition. Really, it all comes down to that. You know you're better than the competition when you get click-through rates well beyond 10% and conversion rates, depending on your niche and the price of what you sell is, but getting it high or higher than your competition. If you want to know how to do that, just simply need to know what you need to do and then putting the actual damn work in, of which the information's on this channel for you to follow and get to. It's all for free. It's up to you whether you want to make the millions in your niche market, because generally speaking, for a local service business or a national company, doesn't matter. You can literally make millions of dollars of profit a year by setting up your Google search ads right and be the number one player in your market and do better than your competition, and letting enough time for the system to see it and want to pour it all on you, pour that sugar on you. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.